Ashland consistently ranks as one of the most livable cities in America, with cultural vibrancy, economic well-being, and overall quality of life. But what is it ultimately that makes some cities more livable than others? In the August 2009 edition of Outside Magazine, Ashland ranked as one of the best 10 small cities in America, based on cost of living, unemployment, nightlife, commute time, and access to green spaces. But also weighing heavily in the city's ranking was proximity to biking, running, paddling, hiking, and skiing. Ashland has it all, but it was not always so. In 1986, Ashland began a steep ascent of planning actions, which increased in 1989 alone by 57%. As neighborhoods watched vacant land and open spaces gobbled up by development, they fought back through land use appeals that filled the city council dockets. Indeed, a window was closing, and opportunities to hold land for public use took on a new urgency. This urgency was the genesis of the Open Space Program, which proposed walking and biking trails connecting neighborhoods and wilderness to the city, and proposed neighborhood parks or open space within walking distance of every home. Although the Open Space Program was approved by the voters in 1990, the funding mechanism for it was defeated, as was a second effort in the fall of that year. In 1993, after dozens of public hearings, the City Council placed a prepared food and beverage tax before the voters at the behest of the Parks Commission and Mayor. The Meals Tax measure proposed a 1% tax and included language authorizing the City Council to increase it to 5%, with the remaining 4% dedicated to DEQ-mandated upgrades of the wastewater treatment system. This measure passed by 10%. Through the initiative process, the voter-approved meals tax was referred back out to the voters by Curtis Hayden of the sneak previews. However, this time the meals tax prevailed by 20 points. Since 1994, the meals tax has generated $25.7 million. Of that, $1.3 million was retained by restaurants and delicatessens for collecting the tax. $19.5 million was spent to retire a portion of the debt on the wastewater treatment plant, and $4.9 million was used to purchase 360 acres of new parkland, such as Siskiyou Mountain Park, the Railroad Park, and North Mountain Park. Also added were hundreds of miles of biking and hiking trails in or near the city. Ashland has some great parks. Without renewal of the meals tax, we have no identified revenue source for new open space as we grow. Equally important to the conservation of open spaces is the city's commitment to the proper stewardship of Bear Creek and historic fish runs. Over the last 15 years, the city of Ashland has upgraded its wastewater treatment plant to a state-of-the-art facility, releasing clean water into Bear Creek for use downstream. However, unlike funding for future parkland, which will be lost without the meals tax, the residents of Ashland must retire the debt on the wastewater treatment plant. Without the meals tax, residents will see a 60% increase on the sewer's fee on their utility bill, approximately $10 a month, and the sewer rate on restaurants will increase 62%. Utility fees are the most regressive tax there is. The elderly couple living on Social Security will pay the same as a couple earning $100,000 or more a year. Ashland's meal tax is fair. It taxes both Ashland residents and the 350,000 people who visit each year. Visitors enjoy our parks, have their towels and sheets laundered, flush toilets, and take showers. It's simply a question of equity. The meals tax is a choice. People dine out when and where according to their financial ability. More important, the meals tax is fair to restaurants. Patrons pay the tax, and because restaurants are allowed to retain 5% of the tax collected, patrons also pay the restaurants to collect it. Let's continue our commitment to green living by renewing the meals tax.